What's up guys, your Doomsday here. Today we're back again. In this video, we're going to be playing some Wukong in the jungle. I've been liking Wukong lately. He's a really well-rounded champ. You could do a lot of things with him. Plus your ultimate is pretty insane. You could knock up entire teams and set up for your teammates, which is very nice. But I thought this match was really good just because there are a lot of things that happened in this match that I think are just good to talk about and at least look at. So that's why I chose this match. You'll see this match gets a bit wild, but I still thought it would be a very, very good match to talk about. But we're just doing the classic clear red to blue side. Did not get a leash this match. That's not too bad on Wukong. Your clear isn't awful, so you're fine. But over here now, I'm just looking at what the lane matchups are. I see that top side's already super low. So I'm starting to think, what lanes are going to be the gankable ones? First of all, I'm rotating from red to blue side, so bot side is probably won't be ganking that. Plus that's a hard gank just because Tristana can just jump away if needed unless we get the root from Lux. So that's really dependent on if Lux can land a root or not. But mid lane, Akali is a hard gank just because it's Akali and Akali is just hard to get onto. It's still possible though if they do overextend, but that top side is what I'm looking at mostly right now just because they're super low. Also look at where that wave is. Notice where that wave is. That is super important to look at as a jungler, and one thing that'll really bring your jungle game to the next level, if you look at where that wave is and where it's gonna be, you can predict where the enemy here or where the enemy champs are gonna be. So over here, I know that wave is gonna stay there for a little bit. So I know for now, if I go right now, those champs are still gonna be there. So that's exactly why I rotate here, just because I knew that based off where that wave is, where the champ would be. And over there, I had to use flash to get out of the Garen spinny third ability thing because I kept on getting critted by it, so that was a bit unfortunate. But something I could have done there actually was I could have waited for Garen to use his first ability to clear the minions, since a lot of people, they'll use their abilities to clear minions like that, and then after that was gone, then I could have gone for that. But that worked out really well. So over here now, I can't really gank Akali. Akali's still pretty healthy. So now I'm looking at that top wave again. Notice where it is. It's right next to the enemy turret. I know that's going to stay there for a bit, and that's not going to be a gankable lane just because they're going to be right next to the enemy turret. Also, notice what I'm doing here. I'm literally pinging where the enemy jungler is. I know he's on the other side scuttle just because he wasn't contesting me at this scuttle, so I was literally pinging bot side to watch out for that. I pinged it like 2 or 3 times, but I think that gave him a good enough heads up to where they're at least aware of it. But now I'm looking to go back to that bot side because I know where that wave is going. It's going to crash into our turret, and then that wave is going to be in a good spot to make that a gankable lane. Plus, now I have my ultimate, so ganking a Tristan and everything, it's not going to be too bad. Because I know with that jungle gank, they're going to have the wave pressure, and that wave is going to get shoved in. So I'm like, I can look for this. And sadly, our top side died, even though I got into that free kill. So over here now, I'm just taking this while I'm waiting for that wave to get shoved in a bit. And I'm keeping an eye out if they do go for an engage or if Lux can get a root or something. So now over here, I see that wave is pushed in pretty far, and Tristana jumps out. I try to get onto him. They flash out. But I'm still able to pick up the Braum. So that worked out. And now we're just pushing this in, and Tristana's going to miss a bunch of farm. Over here, I'm like, we should dive this, and then I see the Jarvans here. And that was my bet. I definitely should have realized that the Jarvan's probably going to rotate again. And I'm barely able to save this Lux. And I'm trying to get this Tristana again, but they just keep on getting so lucky. They're getting out with 1 HP. I maybe could have smited that actually and gotten the kill. I don't know if the smite would have given enough damage. I think I actually wanted to keep up smite in case they try to rush dragon or something. Over here now, I already have my first item, which is good. I got a kill and 2 assists and set up some kills for my teammates. And now again, I'm looking at the waves. Garen is just a hard gank now, just because he gets so tanky as the match goes on. I'm looking at mid. And I don't have my ult up right now, so that's what makes ganking a little bit harder right now. Without your ultimate, it does take away a lot of potential. So over here, I actually want to stay on this side of the map just because the dragon is up, so I'm not going to head top side. And yeah, our top side died anyways, so that was unfortunate. You know, I'm just keeping an eye on this dragon. I'm looking for the scuttle. Getting this river scuttle is super important. just because it gives you entire like vision of the entire dragon sign. You could see if they're going towards it. So when that dragon spawns, if that scuttle is up, I definitely recommend prioritizing it. But now again, I'm looking at this mid wave. I see it's a little bit shoved in. I can maybe get a good gank onto this Akali. Force a flash, which is good enough. And now it's like our bot side is shoved in. I'm like, we could just do this dragon right now. We forced out a flash from Akali. That bot side enemy is pretty low. We can definitely win this. Plus I have my ult back off cooldown. That was actually why I didn't try and force this earlier, because I want to wait for my ult at least. So now I could literally just engage onto him with my third ability and ult, and there's nothing they could really do. Akali's somewhere in here, but there's nothing they could do either. Our bot side actually overextended. I don't know how they died actually. I wasn't watching that. It looked like they were fine though when I looked there like 10 seconds ago. That entire wave shoved them. They could have easily just left that and rotated. And then if the enemy bot or if the enemy dragon laner tried to rotate, we easily could have cut him off. But yeah, we're still able to get this dragon this match. But if y'all are liking these kinds of videos, make sure to show some support by commenting down below what y'all like and what y'all want to see in the future. And leave a like on the video and subscribe for more in the future. And yeah, now I'm pretty sure that they might be going for Scuttle. Or not the Scuttle, Herald. And we actually have to flash out. The call used ult, I guess, which is alright. And our Baron laner died again. That's the only thing about the new champs Aurelia and Riven, is they have some really bad matchups that are just hard to play into. Like, Garen is relatively hard. And even though I got him the kill early... Oh, and actually over here, I think there's a cam or something that spotted the Jarvan. I don't know. Something spotted the Jarvan and I knew he was here. So right now we're trying to chase him down, but he got the flash over the wall and I did not have flash. I thought he was actually going to be on Herald, so I was going to head this way anyways. But now over here, I'm like, we can get the shutdown on Garen. I ult for this just because I want to try and get my Baron laner into this match. I'm thinking if they can get some gold. That's why I'm helping to push this turret too, because getting turrets are worth a lot of gold. So I'm like, if we get this first turret, maybe I'll put him into the match. So now I'm like, they just got to be careful of the Jarvan, because Jarvan isn't here. He probably would be defending this turret. Plus, look at where that wave is for the bot side. It's really, really far pushed in, so that's a really good gank for Jarvan if he is looking to a bot side. And over here, I'm not exactly sure what was happening. I don't know if the Riven, like, went to get the honey fruit even though it was full health. And I wasn't sure if he was going to fight that or not. But we just got double killed. And yep, as I said, look at that bot side. Jarvan's ganking it right now. That's why I was pinging it out earlier, because you can almost predict where the enemy's going to go just based on where the waves are and what's looking like a good gank. And that's something to definitely keep in mind. And you could use that actually to counter-rotate. That's a bit like higher skill cap. Like, you know where the enemy jungler is going to rotate and you can counter-rotate. Almost like ghost your teammates, wait for them to engage, and then just counter-gank. So I actually could have done that if I didn't want to push that topside turret. Over here now, I'm trying to chase down this Garen. I have some pretty good damage right now, so I actually just go for this kill again. I'm trying to get this Riven some breathing room, because we're definitely going to need him for this late game. We need some other frontline. Like, if you know me, you might know that I love my frontline heroes. Or champs, I mean. I love playing tankier champs that can tank up a decent amount of damage. I play a lot of Alistar. And over here, I actually kind of make a little mistake. I smite too early. There's like 3 HP left on the Herald, I think. And now the Yasuo got the Herald. So now, I'm not exactly sure what he's going to do. He uses the Herald in mid. I'm like, we aren't exactly in the best position, but we just go for it. And pretty much I'm just able to clean this up just because I'm so far ahead. I had good ganks early that put me ahead. I got a lot of kills. I used my ult right. That's a key thing. If you don't have your ult up, you're pretty limited on what you can do and what you can't do. So you can do way less without your ult than if you do have your ult off cooldown. So notice how a lot of times whenever I'm waiting for these big fights, I make sure I have my ult off cooldown. like whenever I'm forcing these dragons or something like that, I make sure that I do have my ult off cooldown. And over here now, I'm like Ping and Riven. They're kind of low. If they do try and rush this, we can probably contest. Riven's just pushing that top side. I should probably be watching out here. So I see that they aren't on this, actually. Yeah, they chose to rotate to the top side instead. And over here now, I'm actually, like, we can rush this. We can totally rush this. Look, they're totally just chasing that Riven. If our Yasuo came, our Lux is going to try and save the Riven. This Riven is pretty much helpless at this point. I see the Jarvan is on his way, actually. And now I just have to try and... I'm trying to ping Israel to come too. Like, I don't know why nobody's coming this match. And it ends up being 3 of them rotating here. I have my Guardian Angel, so it's like... Okay, I still have that up. And now I just have to pretty much get out of here. Try and live. And over here, I actually use my first ability on the golems just to regen a bit. You can do that if you have nobody to hit and you're stuck inside something like that. So now our team just got wiped by a Kali. They overextended for that. At that point, you just let the Riven die and just go for the dragon, because the Riven is not exactly being too impactful this match. And a dragon is worth more than trying to save him and risking dying for it, so... That was kind of unfortunate. Because if you didn't see, my entire team was in a position to rotate either side. They were all around the mid side. Yasuo chose to rotate to top. The Lux chose to run towards top, and then Israel was just farming bot side. So over here, I actually make a really big mistake. I'll talk about it in a second, but... I think... Do I fight here? I have my ult off cooldown, actually. We got the kill onto Garen somehow, I think. And I'm like, we should fight this. I have my ult. And I'm pretty fed, so... I just go right onto him. I know this Tristana has no flash, so... I'm pretty much able to just try and clean this up. The Akali is so fed. They're dealing so much damage. And over there, at least we're able to get the Akali. We got an entire team wipe, actually. Now the Riven can just help Yasuo take this. But the mistake that I was talking about was, on the Tristana, I know what they have. I know that they have a jump. They could literally just jump away. I didn't know if they had flash or not, but notice how I engage with my third ability first, and you don't want to do that, especially in a case like that. If you don't have to use your third ability to engage, I don't recommend it in a case like that. Just because what happened was I used my third ability, and then right after I did that, Tristana jumped away, and then I had nothing else to gap close. I just couldn't get back onto him. Whereas if I just ran up to him, used my second ability or first ability to try and get onto him, and then they jumped, then I still have my third ability to gap close that jump, and I could stay right on top of him. So that's like a key thing to just keep in mind. And on pretty much like any bruiser, it's all about gap closing and using your abilities at the right time. And over there, they just keep on overextending, sadly. I don't exactly know what to do, but I'm trying. I'm hoping that this Yasuo can carry late game. Just because late game, he's pretty good. So I'm like over here, I just don't want him to die. I'm just going to push this top side. But I think they're already overextended. They're pushing that turret. I choose to push this top turret instead. I see that all of them are mid or bot side, so... Or there's 3 of them there. There's one of them mid. I'm not sure who's left, but... Or there might be 4 bot. I can't tell right now. But I choose to trade this top turret, and this actually turns out being a huge mistake, and I'm going to talk about this later just because it turns out to be a big deal later on in this match. Yeah, there's 4 of them bot side. And it turns out to be a big deal later on in this match, and I want to see if y'all can figure out why. And here's a hint, just look at the team comps. And I think this was a really good match just to learn from. Since I wasn't exactly thinking about this when I was pushing that topside turret, over there it looked like a decent trade. And over there I accidentally get... I think the smoke from the Akali screwed up my targeting, and I accidentally targeted onto minion there and used my third ability. But... it looked like a decent trade. Like, I traded that top turret for the bot turret. It's not a huge deal. And over here, I accidentally overextend a bit, so gotta dip out. It looks like a decent trade, but it really was not, honestly, and this will show up in a sec. Because now we're pretty much trying to farm. I'm looking at the bot side. Those are two squishy heroes down there. They can easily get collapsed on. And over here, I'm like, our team is just, they're going for such risky positioning. And yep, as I said, that bot side, they're getting ganked by a Garen and who else is there? Akali. And there's really nothing we could do there just because Garen's so tanky, Akali's so fed. We're trying to collapse onto him, see if we can get somebody. I just go for the Garen just because I can't exactly get onto, I don't think we could track down the Akali. So we're able to get the Garen, but we lost the Lux in Israel. And now you're starting to see, and over here I'm pretty sure they're on Baron. Just because I just saw the Tristana run this way, plus the Jarvan was missing, so over here I'm like, we should go for this. I might have rushed this. This was a little bit of a mistake on my part, actually. Let's see if I can get the Tristana, actually. Get the flash over the wall. Third ability, first ability, I still have stasis, actually. So now, I tried to get the Jarvan, but Akali's still there, so I just dip. I probably shouldn't have rushed that engage there, because that Baron was still relatively healthy. I think, at first I kind of panicked because I wasn't sure how low that was, and I didn't want to give him the Baron, just because if they get that Baron, we're probably going to lose our mid and bot side inhib turrets, and that's going to end up being really bad. So now over here, they just keep on going not too far. I'm trying to ping him, but there's only so much I could do. I guess that is like one small downside to Wukong. You could definitely do a lot. I mean, of course not all games are winnable, but it's more of a, you set up for your teammates really well. Like, I set up for champs like Yasuo and Riven to engage, but if they don't engage right, then that's just tough. So here now, I want to keep an eye on this dragon. I really don't want to give him a dragon just because right now they're already winning these fights. And look at what I'm doing over here. This was potentially another mistake. I am distracting these two. I'm knocking them up and I'm dealing good damage to them. And we are able to clean them up, but over here the SL ults the Braum. I don't think we should have done that, but now I'm pretty sure they're on this. Just because they weren't in the fight and they aren't topside. That's how I knew actually in the match. Because look at if you looked at the top side like 15 seconds ago, that wave was pushing pretty hard. And if Jarvan and Tristana were just roaming, somebody would have gone to that top side. So it's pretty sure because they weren't roaming and they weren't in that fight, they were on that dragon. And I think we're going to see this one more time, but the reason why trading that top turret for the bot side turret was not worth it was because look at these team comps. Their comp is tanky. They have Braum, Garen, Jarvan. And over here, I'm telling you, Yasuo, we don't need to be ulting the Braum. Actually, when I was talking about the team fight, knocking up the Braum and Garen and just distracting them, was maybe not a bad choice, but what we need to be doing is I need to be ulting onto the Akali, and then Yasuo needs to be ulting onto the Akali too, right after I knock him up for him. Because it's not Akali that's just completely destroying us mostly. And then their tankiness is just being pretty obnoxious. But as I was saying, just look at our comps. Like, we can't walk out of our base just because of how tanky they are. We can't kill any of them. And our comp is so squishy. Like, Lux, Israel, they can easily catch us out. So over here now, I'm actually telling them to take buff just because I need them to do something. I'm not going to be able to hard carry these fights anymore. I need my carries to step it up. But now just look at that top side. Like, we can't step out of our base at all, or they could just easily engage onto us. That's why trading turret for turret in this case is not good. Just because with their tankiness and late game, they can pretty much just have the entire map control. And if we ever step out of our base, they could just pick us off, pick up our squishies. Flux and Israel by themselves. And over here, I know that they're going to go for that Baron. So I'm just trying to push this mid wave and distract them as much as I can. Try to buy some time because I'm just trying to make it so our teammates can get up faster. So that's why I'm just pushing this mid wave, because pushing this mid wave too, it's going to make it harder for them to push with Baron once they do get it. because they got to push this wave all the way back. So I'm like, maybe we could survive this. And that's pretty much what you could do whenever your team dies like that. Just go and push waves that you think they want to push. Just keep on going and pushing them. That way, it's just harder for them to get your turrets and stuff. But now I'm just recalling. My team's back up. We'll see if we can defend this. But again, like, look at that Israel. Even though they're over there, they're really not safe. And the Riven was there too. Yep, see, like, they can't step out of their base at all. We need to be underneath our turrets. And over here, what we should have done was, we should have realized that we really can't match up onto them. Their front line is just too strong right now. And what we should have done is just sat underneath our turrets and waited for them to engage. Because that happens so much in ranked. People go for bad engages and turret dives. And a lot of times when that happens, you can actually... I probably should have stasis that ult. I could have done that. I think at this point I knew it was game over though. People will make mistakes, and then you can turn stuff around when people go for bad dives, but that's pretty much it for this match. It was a bit tough, but if y'all learned something, make sure to comment down below, leave a like, sub if you like this and want more.